Hey guys, the Raw Predator here, and today I am talking to you guys about the next-gen consoles coming up this year, and today I have a special guest with me, and his name is Sam, and just say hello today, Sam.
How's it going?
How's it going, mate? So yeah, we'll be talking about, what consoles will we be talking about today, Sam?
Well, we're talking about the most obvious ones, which is PS4 and the Xbox 720, and Valve's recently announced Steambox.
So yeah, we'll start off with the PS4 today and the release date, specs, and price rumors. So Sam's going to tell you the specifications on the PS4, and then we'll discuss just a few rumors and stuff like that.
Well, the PS4 is apparently the code name for it is Orbis, and which it's supposed to use an AMD CPU and GPU package, pretty much. Apparently the PS4 is supposed to have two GPUs, one of the main GPU being the HD 7670, which itself is a pretty average graphics card.
Yeah, consoles don't have the best.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure how well the second, pretty much the second GPU integrated with the CPU is going to help it out as much, even though you can do crossfire, but it in itself will probably be an entry-level GPU, probably at the most, I'm assuming. But the thing is, it has you have good amount of video RAM for it supposedly being around 1 gig of video RAM, which is okay for today. But I suppose with consoles, they can have much better utilization of like hardware resources than they compare to computer. But I think that the CPU is going to be one of the A-series AMD quad-core CPUs, which are in themselves.
Yeah, it seems like AMD's like coming into the more like the gaming.
I think also because they have the price.
Yeah, good prices. Yeah.
However, I think it's only going to be a 3800 series CPU from AMD, that A8 3850 I think it was supposed to be, which in itself is probably not even that good as well.
Yeah. So do you think, everyone wants to know, do you think they'll make any changes to the PlayStation Network, as like, you know how like, I think it was last year had that massive drama with
well, they'd want to make changes to the network, because the PlayStation Network, while it's being free, it's
I think it's
obvious
lacking.
That it's not as good as Xbox Live.
Yeah, because they have that money to pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think PlayStation 4 will be good. I think you know, it's got some good features, and sometimes, you know, it doesn't have the best features, but
in terms of hardware, I suppose it is good for a console, because consoles have never had the latest sort of hardware, for the fact that they don't necessarily need it, because developers can take much more advantage of the hardware, because they don't have like OS overhead and different sort of like things they have to worry about, like limitations. But they also claim that games will be running at full HD this time around at 60 frames per second, which I find is really hard to believe.
Yeah.
For the fact that games will just, like, while they continue increasing the quality of games, games might run at full HD, but the thing is they'll probably be running at like 30 frames per second, or even just standard high definition, not full HD.
And do you think we could agree on a price, like maybe like $600 to $900 on stuff?
Oh, I reckon it mightn't be that much this time around, because they need to remain quite competitive.
Competitive, yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure what the prices would be, but I reckon it'll probably be lower than what the PS3 was at release.
Because they have a big competition with like the other, say, the next gen consoles. Yeah. But do you think it will be next generation gaming? Do you think there'll be a big difference in the games, or?
I reckon there won't, in terms of graphics. Yeah. There won't.
Because
it'll definitely be noticeable, of course, but I think there won't be a huge step up.
Because maybe the specifications won't make it as.
Not necessarily that, because the specifications just destroy the previous generation, which will be the previous generation, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, but graphics themselves are quite good today. Like, they're getting on to
realistic,
being most realistic. So in terms of graphics, there'll be a lot of refinement, I reckon.
Yeah.
Not really like from PS2 to PS3. That was actually quite a big step up in terms of graphics quality.
Yeah. And any final thoughts on you know, the PS4, and would you buy it? That's a big question.
I'm not a huge console person myself.
Yeah.
I would, to be honest, I would be waiting until it comes to release and see what games.
See, they released the big fat PS3, and then I bought the slim, which, you know.
I also have the slim PS3.
Yeah, there was some problems with the fat, so maybe if you were going to get the PS4, maybe, you know, it happens with iPhones, and, like, bring out an iPhone 4, then they bring out an iPhone 4S, like the second version of that iPhone, so.
Yeah, to an extent, it's not necessarily a big problem, because it's pretty much the same thing, it's just will consume less power and be small.
Exactly, yeah. So next we're going to talk about the Xbox 720, and, so any specs on that, Sam? Have they released many?
It's almost
AMD again, yeah, same.
Yep, they're both AMD. I think the Xbox
two
not
GPUs.
Really been confirmed yet of having the 2 GPU setup like the PS4.
Yep.
But it's practically using. Well, it's speculated to pretty much be using the exact same GPU. It's just the previous generation one, because the PS4 was supposed to have the HD 7670, and the Xbox is supposed to have the 6670, which they are exactly the same card, because the 7670 is just a rebranded version of that one. Yeah. There's no changes at all in terms of hardware specifications. In terms of, I think the new 720 will definitely be using Blu-ray.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's what I think. They, I don't think they suffered with not having Blu-ray. It's just something that the PlayStation 3 had over the Xbox.
Yeah, people were saying that, we'll be suffering from really long load times because of Blu-ray. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because you just have a faster speed Blu-ray drive in the console, which would definitely speed up transfer rate with the drive and like the CPU.
Yeah,
which exactly. It probably won't really pose a problem, but games will most likely have the mandatory hard drive installed.
So yeah,
whichever way how fast the Blu-ray drive.
Most next gen consoles will have Blu-ray. You reckon they'll all move to Blu-ray?
Probably the 720 and the PS4 will have Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But there's also the big thing about implementing everything into like the cloud, having that you only download games from the store.
That's when we'll get to like Steambox.
You store everything in the cloud pretty much.
Yeah. Pricing? Do you reckon? Pricing? Yeah.
It's supposed to be the 720 cost around £299.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
This is what I've read up on, which
is like maybe 400. I don't know what it is US dollars, but
300, probably late 300s, even 400, which sounds quite reasonable.
It's about like 380, 375 US dollars. So yeah, around $400. So if the PS4 was going to try and match that, that would be good. So
that'd be good.
Release date for we forgot to mention for the PS4, and maybe we should mention it for the Xbox 720.
Most likely,
end of the year.
What I have seen, is the end of 2013, so this year.
Yeah, right. I reckon like Christmas time they release them because you buy them.
Might be November, even October.
Yeah, get them out. But it'll be a big rush to how if whatever one comes out first, they'll wanna. Yeah,
there probably will be this time around. Especially, there'll be a huge rush on which console is going to come out first, instead of like previous generation. The PS3 came out way later than the Xbox.
Yeah, and we should see some more at E3 this year. So
that's
when we get more.
Most likely, you'll be seeing
the announcing
720 and the PS4 at E3, and I think it's CES 2013. I mean.
Yeah. Oh well. Would you buy the 720 in your opinion?
I'm not entirely sure. It also comes down to what games they have it
Yeah,
on release date, because that a lot of the times can sway which way people buy. But there's
yeah,
also the whole brand loyalty thing as well. So for me, it's mainly what games it comes out with first, and I suppose the hardware, even
yeah,
though
and how
they're
it
pretty
runs.
well on par. But a lot of the times it can be what games it comes out with first, because you want to play the console instead of just having it sit around and go, oh, I'll wait for this game to come out
Yeah,
whenever.
exactly. Yeah. So now we wanted to talk about Steambox, which is Valve's latest, next gen console as they call it. And yes, so let's get into it, Sam.
I do like the idea of the
Yeah.
Steambox having it that it is set up
This
practically like a PC.
This one's something that really attracts my attention. If they all came out at the same time, I would just see how it would go. Like, it just attracts my attention because
Yeah.
I think Steam is a great program, and it'd be good to
Yeah,
have
I
it
reckon Valve could go a long way with this idea. It's having it set up like a PC, and the fact that you can
on a TV screen.
you can change parts in it, which to an extent might pose a bit of an issue for like game developers, because
Yeah.
if they would have to always develop it on the standard hardware. You just have the choice of upgrading it, which seems a little pointless to an extent, because just say if the game is running on the stock hardware, full HD, 30 frames a second, you might spend however much on a new graphics card to
Yeah.
make it run at 60 frames, but you're not going to have that
Much performance
up in quality in terms of graphics quality like you do comparing console to PC.
because you can't. I don't know if you, upgrade the console
Yeah, it seems a little pointless to an extent, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure if they're actually going to... I think they are, or they might not, have a disk drive in it. What I've heard is that they're pretty much going to be using Steam on the Steambox, of course.
Yeah.
You download all your games from Steam and you store your data in...
There is something
servers.
like the Steam big picture on Steam. It's like you can link it to your TV. So I think
it allows you to
if
pretty
you're
much
more
play games on TV.
and they're moving towards more controller-based games. So if you have a controller, you can use them in your living room. So
yeah, which does make it better, because there's a lot of people that do have their PCs that are hooked up to TV. But I also reckon that this could also be because of most PC games are console ports, that they already have the controller, like the input files and that already there.
Yeah, so it's just easy as for them to.
Yeah.
It would just run off the console port. Yeah.
Yeah.
Operating system, Linux maybe? You reckon?
I think it's said to have Linux. I think that's another reason why Valve have gone ahead and made Linux.
Linux can run on really small,
made Steam run on Linux, not.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So we don't know really any specs, but you'd think there would be more like computer specs, like your.
Yeah, I think they'll be using
AMD, maybe.
Traditional hardware, AMD or Intel.
Yeah.
I think it's also using more consumer-based.
They say it comes out in March, but there's no actual released time for it. So
there hasn't been pretty much a lot of other
information, but all we have is just
most likely won't be released in March.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. And any final thoughts on next gen consoles, and just to wrap things up?
To be completely honest, next gen consoles will probably outdate even quicker than this gen.
Yeah, I thought when you go next gen consoles, it'd be something that blows your mind away, but
this time around, it's not really the step up that I had from PS2 to PS3. I reckon won't be as the whole big wow factor about it compared to then. But also, I don't really hate on consoles or anything. I prefer PC myself, but next gen consoles will probably have a shorter lifespan than this one.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, Sam, and hopefully I can do more videos with you guys and talk about different topics. And if you have any suggestions on topics we should do, yeah, just let us know in the comment section below. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys soon. Say goodbye, Sam.
See ya.